Coming to the data, data is a raw fact or unorganized fact that is required to be processed. So your data is unprocessed raw data. So only by assuming the data or by taking the data, I cannot go with the conclusion. So by only the data, there is no meaning of it. So once it is processed, then only we will get some meaningful information. So that information we will call it as processed form, and data is unprocessed form. Data may be in the form of numbers, letters or set of characters. Data can be simple at the same time unorganized unless it is organized. Data is based on records and observations and which are stored in computers or remembered by a person. Data does not have any specific purpose and it will never depend on the information. Data can be structured, tabular data, graph, data tree, etc. Let us understand this data and information by looking at this example. As we know that data is just a raw fact or figure and it is unorganized, unprocessed data. So once it is processed, then we call it as an information, right? So now look at the example of data. John 90% and computer science. So by looking at this data, I cannot come to the conclusion because it is not yet processed, right? So now we'll come to the information. Example of information is like this: John obtained 90% in computer science. So that means whatever the data I have given, that data is organized and processed in a meaningful way. So this we call it as an information. Well, hope now you got an idea of data and information. Now, let us know the concept of database in the coming slides. Coming to the database, database is an organized collection of data that is generally stored and accessed electronically or logically from a computer system. So that means it is a set of related data and the way it is organized. To access the data or to perform any kind of operations on that database, then we need some software called DBMS, that is Database Management System, that we are going to learn in the next session. Let us understand this database by looking at this example. So keep it in mind that database, it is nothing but it is a collection of data that we are going to organize in a table, where table it is a collection of rows and columns. Correct? So now coming to this example, we have taken the example of student database. So obviously if I have created the database for student, then I have to put up the details of only the student, not other than that. Like if I cannot put bank details or any other shop details here. So here we have taken the data which is relevant to the student, that is student obviously having their register number or ID and name, class and mark. So whatever the data I have collected, that data should be matched with the column heading. Suppose my data is 75, that 75 should be goes to the mark column, and my ID is 1, that should be goes to the ID column only, not to any other columns here. Well, so this is how the data organized in such a way so that it will produce some information. So this is, we call it as a database. Now we look at another example here. So we have taken the library as a database, and obviously what will be the data? Books will be the data. That is what here the picture says. The library contains a huge collections of books with different authors. Here the library is database and books are the data. So that is what here says. Hope you got the meaning of this database. Well, now we'll see the applications of database. So your application is nothing but we are going to see the fields where this databases will be implemented. Databases are used just about everywhere, including banks, retail, websites and warehouses, etc. Databases are stored digitally where multi-users in different locations can view the data in more than one place. Databases allow for data to be stored quickly and easily and are used in many aspects of your daily life. Databases are much more efficient than paper storage, that is file management system, that is also known as paper and pencil system. Where in paper storage it will take more number of papers. Where in databases it won't use the paper, whereas all the data will be stored digitally. And it can be accessed by multiple users at once and it can be transferred long distance virtually without any delay. Now we'll see the applications one by one. The very first field is banking. In banking, we make thousands of transactions through banks daily. And we can do this without going to the bank. Yes. So, how banking has become so easy that by sitting at home, we can send or get money through banks. That is all possible just because of this database that manages all the bank transactions. In simple words, we can say that it is very useful in the banking because it is going to keep records of customers whoever opens their account in the particular bank. And also it will provide the transaction history to the particular customer so that it will be easy to fetch the detail, or we can access the particular customer detail easily. The next is water meter billing. In every bill there will be RR number and all other account details of the customer, right? So this RR number and all the details are stored in the database and that can be connected to the server. So whenever a user wants to pay it online, so they can fetch the details by using this RR number and other account details. The third application is airline or railway reservation system. Database is required to keep records of ticket booking, train's departure or arrival status. Also, if trains get late, then people get to know it through database update. So also it needs to keep records of flights arrival, departure and delay status, everything. So in short, we can say that database is used everywhere around us and we cannot rely without database. The next topic is schools or colleges. So we are all familiar with this topic and we all know that our details like student details, teaching, non-teaching details, everything will be put up in the database so that we can fetch it anytime and anywhere. So suppose if I want to search any particular student, then I go with the ID or register number. So instead of searching by name, I go with the ID. Why? Because ID or register number, it is a key. Like you can say it is a unique key. So by using this unique key, I can directly get the record in a faster way, right? So because why I go with unique key means names or class or marks that may contain multiple values. So more than one John may appear in the same class, right? So likewise marks also it will be repeated and class also will be repeated. So hence I go with the unique key, that is register number or ID, so that I will get the particular student details in a faster way. So this is how the database will be used in the education, that is schools or colleges. The next application is credit card transaction. For purchase of credit cards and all other details of transactions are made possible only by this database. A credit card holder knows the importance of their information that all secured through this database. So that means any transaction history that can be accessed or can be viewed at any time anywhere only by this database. The next application is telecommunication. Any telecommunication company cannot even think about their business without this database. Database is must for these companies to store call details or history and monthly postpaid or prepaid bills transactions, etc. So without this database they cannot even think about their company, because everything will be stored in the database so that they can access it easily. So instead of going it randomly, they can go to the particular detail and they can fetch and access it directly by using this database. The next application is finance. Those days have gone far when information related to money was stored in registers and files. Yes, of course. Today the time has totally changed because there are lots of things to do with finance, like storing sales, holding information and finance statement management, etc. So that means we can hold any kind of information that is going to be sold, or we are going to get some goods. All these will be stored in the database that can be accessed in an easier way. The next application is online shopping. Online shopping has become a big trend of these days, right? No one wants to go to the shops and waste their time. Everyone wants to shop from home, and so all these products are added and sold only with the help of database. Again, your database is required to maintain the customer order detail, delivery detail and their product details. Everything will be stored in this type of database. So purchase information, invoice bills and payment, all these are done with the help of database. So without this database, obviously it will be very difficult to fetch the details or to track the details of the delivery. Everything might be difficult without this database. The next application is manufacturing. Many manufacturing companies make products and sell them on the daily basis. To keep tracks or to keep records of all the details about the products like quantity, quality, bills, purchase and supply chain management, then obviously database is required here. So that the vendor will get to know the quantity and number of customers are purchased the products on the daily basis. The last application is human resource management. Human resource management, obviously it is going to manage the employee details as well as entire company details here. In big companies have many workers working under them. Human resource management department keeps records of each employee's salary, their details and other work details through this database. So these are the applications of databases. Now we'll look at the evolution of database. Coming to the next topic, that is evolution of database. As just now explained about the applications of database, all these were using computerized electronic data processing. So before it came into existence, everything was done in manually. That we call it as manual data processing. So in this evolution of database, we are going to have a look at the two things. The one is manual data processing, another one is computerized electronic data processing. Coming to the manual data processing, as the name says, everything was done in manually. Hence, this we call it as paper and pencil systems. However, as organizations grew and as reporting requirements became more complex, keeping track of data in a manual file system became more difficult. Therefore, companies looked to computer technology for help. Coming to this computerized electronic data processing, to overcome the drawback of manual data processing, then this computerized data processing came into existence. Here, computers are used to process the data in electronic data processing. Here, the manpower required is minimal. So then, computer technology helps to store large amount of data within short time. By understanding these two concepts, I hope you have already have a key differences between them. Anyhow, let us look at the points one by one. Let us look at the differences between manual and electronic data processing. Here the first point says under manual it requires large quantity of paper, and obviously in computer everything will be done in soft copy, right? So hence here the amount of paper usage is less. Coming to the second point, as we discussed that manual data processing also called as paper and pencil system. So here the employee going to work in a manually by writing on a sheet or a paper. So here it is slow. Coming to the computerized, the data will be entered by using any keyboard or mouse or any other input devices. Hence here computerized electronic data processing, it is fast and high accuracy. The next point is we are going to talk about the labor cost. So labor cost is nothing but the number of employees we are going to use in a particular system. So under manual system there will be more number of employee, hence labor cost is high. So because work will be more, because we are going to use paper and pencil system. Coming to the computerized electronic data processing, here the number of works will be depends on the number of employees. So number of works will be allotted to the number of employees. So hence here labor cost is economical. So that's all about the differences between these two systems. Now we look at the next topic. The next point is under manual data processing, it uses storage medium as paper, because everything will be written on a paper or a sheet or maintaining with the files. Coming to the computerized electronic data processing, the storage medium is secondary storage medium. That may be CD, pen drive, hard disk or floppy disk, any other secondary storage devices. Hope you got the differences between manual and computerized electronic data processing. Well, now you may have the question that how the data will get processed. Yes, our next topic is about data processing cycle. Here you will understand the cycle step by step. In the next class, let us start with the data processing cycle topic. I have uploaded today's session notes in my account. Kindly do check it and write it on your notebook or in a sheet and keep it with you. And also I'll upload some important questions of today's session. So kindly do practice it and submit it as early as possible. So if you have any other doubts related to today's session, you can ask me. So if you all understood and got an idea of today's session, well, let me end up this session. Thank you. Have a good day.